let's talk Nintendo Direct. You guys watched it, right? 50 minutes of goody deliciousness from Nintendo announcing the biggest games of the year, or you at least watched the 6-minute rundown from IGN, which was fantastic. Gabe, what'd you think?
Well, I saw the 6-minute from IGN.
By the way, I'm disappointed.
So, I'm sorry. I think I was working at that time. I have no idea. My work schedule's been crazy, but I'm definitely looking forward to some of the releases, like the Star Wars Hunter, the re-release of Skyward Sword. Not sure how I feel about that yet, to be honest. I started playing it on the Wii U, I believe, but I didn't finish it because I think the Switch came out and I just sold everything about the Wii U, all my games, just to buy the Switch. But no, there were some games looking very promising in there, and like I said, I think the one that stood out the most for me was the Star Wars Hunter, and of course the lack of information for Breath of the Wild 2 was very upsetting. But
yes,
yeah,
that's a perfect segue. Let's talk about the biggest disappointment and upset. If you were watching it live on YouTube, you would have seen the fan uproar when we saw the director. I was gonna try to pronounce his name, but I don't think I'm going to, because you know how I'm talking about. Let's just do it. Eija Aonuma came out wearing his traditional Legend of Zelda shirt and jacket combo, looking spiffy. I'm not gonna lie, I got really excited. I was waiting the whole time just for this moment, and I see him come out, and I'm like, ooh!
Oh, you're
My
close.
wife even stopped. Yes, yeah. My wife even stopped what she was doing. She was about to go for a walk, and she was like, I'm just gonna sit down and watch this with you. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the time. Sweet Christmas. We're gonna find out something about Breath of the Wild 2. And what does he say? I'm actually gonna show you guys the clip. We'll watch the clip. He says, we have nothing to report at the time, but we will later on.
Nani?
It's like the fact that you the fact that you say that we will have something announced shows that you have something announced, but you're just holding out on us. Everyone was upset. But what was more upsetting was that we were all excited for what was going to come out. I mean, Legend of Zelda 35th anniversary is just around the corner, February 21st. And then there have been rumors that there's going to be a re-release of a classic Zelda game. And what does he announce? We're going to get to that. But first, let's talk about Breath of the Wild 2. What do we know about Breath of the Wild 2 for now? We saw the trailer. It is on our Discord page if you guys are following us on Discord. What do you guys think? Based on what you've seen so far from the trailer, are you excited for Breath of the Wild 2? Do you have any more information? What are your guys' thoughts so far on Breath of the Wild 2 just by watching the trailer?
You know, looking back at when we were speaking about the same story, Link saves the princess, we could have another similar encounter. But one of the things that I noticed is there was a huge focus on this overclouding shadow or cloud coming in and grabbing things. I definitely got the idea of the same world now becoming distorted, or I don't want to say calamity, but now it's distorted. The same way I remember in Red Dead Redemption, when you would play in zombie mode, it was the same world, but now you're dealing with zombies. And so I started imagining, is it a possibility that these monsters get super buff, they're demonic, who knows, right? And so that sounded really interesting. Or even a whole underground scene. I would say that the trailer definitely left me wanting for more.
Absolutely. Gabe, what are your thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2?
it's probably like a little dumb. I'm not gonna lie, but when I first saw it, when they first show Zelda, I'm like, why did they cut her hair? So because I saw it was like short, I was like, what are they trying to make her like a new like more today's style with the short hair? Like why? No, why just leave her with her long hair? But then when they did the close up and you just see it's like in braids, I'm like, okay. She just did her. Never mind. I take that back. that's, that's that was my first thought process. I'm like, why are they changing Zelda? Leave her alone.
You don't cut Zelda's hair,
You don't cut a princess hair, okay? It's supposed to be long. Anyway,
dude.
but no, watching the video, the trailer, I don't know. I felt like she was more of a companion in this one.
Hmm.
I don't know why I got that feeling, but just the fact that I felt like it was. So I'm kind of hoping that it's gonna be like a mission to where you're switching between two characters.
Hmm.
She
Mm.
might have her own mission, and he might have his own trying to find her. She's trying to survive or whatever. Or if they're going at it together and they're just some parts where you got to be Link, some parts you got to be Zelda.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
that's what it's kind of a far stretch just for like what 22 seconds of a video, but this is everything that came to me. So I'm just really kind of like that'd be really cool because usually you don't play as Zelda unless you're playing like Hyrule Warriors or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it would be a really cool to just have her and see what they do with her.
Yeah, I have her as more of a playable character rather than just a companion. Kind of like Genshin Impact. I don't know if you guys have heard anything or played Genshin Impact, but
Mm-hmm.
it's basically Breath of the Wild, but with a little more anime characters, a lot of the same mechanics. But one of the coolest features about that game is that using the directional pad, you can change between characters who have, different weapons and different abilities. And while you're in combat, you can switch characters and use their abilities to help you get the advantage when you're fighting an enemy. That would be something really cool because the mechanics of Hyrule Warriors is kind of similar, Age of Calamity. You can just by pressing up and down switch to different characters on the map, which wouldn't be beneficial in this sense, in the Breath of the Wild context, but it would be interesting to have kind of different functionalities between characters where certain times it'd be advantageous to be Zelda and at other times it'd be advantageous to be um, Link. It's interesting because now learning what we learned from Age of Calamity, Zelda was just barely beginning to come into her powers and just explore them. And now after 100 years of withstanding um, Calamity Ganon and holding him off until Link comes in. I mean, she must have grown more powerful. Or it probably diminished her power and she needs to rediscover it. There's so much possibility. And I'm excited to discover what it's going to be. Uh, from the scenery, we're looking like we're going to be exploring the underground of Hyrule. Most of what we saw in Breath of the Wild was the landscape uh, of the land of Hyrule and all of the different areas, but it looks like from the trailer that we're going to be going underground, kind of delving more into the dungeons like in Minecraft. I mean, when you're on the surface, that's just one tier. You can go deeper and deeper underground. Further you go underground, the more like world you discover. Possibilities are endless. Even just the quick 40 seconds of video shows that the story is going to be intense, complex, and like you mentioned, Gabe, earlier, it seems like it's going to have more of a darker tone to it, which I don't know if I'm privy to that, but it's thing like Breath of the Wild. It's going to be a good game no matter what. Luis, you look like you are intent to say something.
It was. I was just thinking. You brought an interesting idea. What we know so far of Hyrule, the opening plane of the world map. I don't have much experience, or I have not read the books. If there was another dimension or like a hell-like atmosphere, I thought about Oblivion. You're in the world of
Hmm.
Tamriel, and you are uh, now the portals are opening up. You're going into each of these portals, and you're having to close them. But you're getting to see a different world. Also, in the Elder Scrolls Online, you get to see that even more so. There's actually a whole region where you have to go into the underworld, the Shadowlands. So have you be and then you go in there, and there's this whole storyline. There's this whole development of that world. And I thought that when you talking about Hyrule Underground, there definitely is those possibilities or capabilities. Like, what is the, like I said, the afterlife world look like in that game, or and so forth.
You heard it here first, folks. Working title: Breath of the Wild 2, Hyrule Underground. I like it, Luis. I like it. It sounds really cool.
I like how you guys
But
you had like such an elaborate like explanation for that. I'm over here thinking something simple, like it kind of reminded me of the Lion King, where he's like, the sun is all what yours touches, but you see that dark spot? Don't go there. That's part 2 of Breath of the Wild. We're going to that dark spot.
But the elephant graveyard, right? That was the elephant graveyard. Hey, what's all that shadowy stuff?
that's where we want to go. Yeah, and all that to say, it looks like Princess Zelda has a haircut.